Greetings. Is it happy hour yet? OMG. We are on to our fifth interview of the day. This has been so much fun. I have obviously done an outfit change. It is getting quite warm over here in Seattle. In fact, I had to change spots in the office a little bit. But today, our last and final interview, but certainly not the last. I don't know, you guys, it's getting late in the day. I did pour myself a glass of wine, but I am really excited because this winery has gotten a lot of accolades lately. People are talking about it like crazy, and I have had the opportunity to visit it. But let's bring on Dennis Murphy. Hi, Dennis.
Hey, Kristin, how are you?
You know, I'm doing pretty good. I'm kind of stumbling over my words at this point. This is now my fifth interview. If somebody would have told me that in my print world that I would be doing these live video interviews, I probably would have punched them at some point. But you know, you get used to it, and I'm actually having a lot of fun. So, Dennis is actually sitting in an airport hangar in Walla Walla right now. He's had a pretty busy day, but Dennis, you are the winemaker and owner of the famed Caprio Cellars.
That's correct.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Caprio. Caprio is pretty new. I mean, I believe that you guys opened up about maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah, we opened our new facility 2 years ago, but I moved to Walla Walla 22 years ago, and
Wow.
we planted our first vineyard in 2005.
And where did you come from?
I was living in Spokane, made a big trip down south.
Spokanistan. I love it.
Yeah.
I can say that because I'm from Tri-Cities. So, you know, I've got all the names for Spokane. So, I mean, starting a winery, that's just not some random thought you think about. Like, what was your, you know, what got you excited about the wine industry and specifically Walla Walla?
Well, I'm a small town guy, so Spokane, I know this surprises my Seattle friends, but it's too big of a city for me.
It is actually a big city. It is.
And I love, I fell in love with Walla Walla in the late 90s. And so I said, you know what, I want to make great wine. I love wine from the region. So I said the best way to do that is to move there and make friends with people who made wine. And that's what I did.
So did you go to school for this, or is it trial by error?
I had really good on-the-job training and made wine with some really great people and worked harvest. But then during the recession, I went to UC Davis and took some classes. So that helped out. Pretty
good education for winemaking, that's for sure. So yep. That's awesome. So I have been seeing there's a lot of groups around, and even on our Facebook page and everything, people are just singing the praises of Caprio. And I want to talk to you about this experience because it's a very different tasting experience than a lot of other wineries around Walla Walla, if not Washington. And I want to kind of talk about the ethos of it and what can people expect? I mean, first of all of the reviews I've been seeing is you get greeted with a glass of bubbles when you walk in, which check that off the list. That's amazing. Are you guys producing sparkling?
Yeah, we just produce it to greet you, so we don't sell it, but it's a venture we did in Willamette Valley, and so it's our own Caprio cuvee.
Awesome. Who did you guys work with in Willamette, if you don't mind me asking?
We did our work at Radiant, which is just it's a bubble house there. So
yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I just did one of these for Willamette Valley last week, and talking about it's just so cool to see how many producers now have the ability to do this method champenois and not have to have the facilities because there's these new sparkling houses that are coming in to manage it. So it's their fruit, so it's their great wine just with the little bubbles in it. So I love that. Yeah. So you guys have, and we've been talking about this a lot today, just because we want to know as consumers, how can we be, the best guests for you? So you guys have always been reservation only.
That's correct.
Before COVID. So what was kind of your thinking behind that?
So we really had no interest in opening a normal tasting room. We wanted to provide a whole different hospitality experience. And in order to do that, we need to make sure we know who's coming. Yeah. So we do 4 groups of 20 per day. and we have a 90-minute slot for you. And so we know who's coming. We know how many staff to have. We have a full kitchen and chef and sous chef, and so we do food and wine pairings for you when you come to visit. And we'll check and see if you have any food allergies before you get there, so we can accommodate that. But it's a totally different approach, and it's more of a experience than, hey, which wine are you on? Are you on the third or fourth wine?
Right.
We sit down with you and really kind of go through our whole process. And my grandmother was Eleanor Caprio, and every time I went to her house, she would always feed me. And so I always say that if she knew that I invited you over for wine and I didn't offer you some food, she'd be really upset. So
yes, you would. No, when we're talking about this is part of the tasting fee. This isn't like you order plates or whatever. Like this is part of the experience there.
Correct. Yeah. So we line up the wines for you, and then we have our chef has thoughtfully thought about these food pairings, and they're available for anyone who comes to enjoy our hospitality.
So, what is the cost of a tasting fee at Caprio?
We do not charge for the food or the wine.
What?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to
this is insane.
It goes back to the fact that we're having you over, and we want to have you there as our guests. And it really just works on this thing called the equity theory, which is if I do something nice for you, you're more apt to do something nice for me. And so we just ask you to, if you're going to buy, 4 or 5 bottles, buy 6 or 8. And right. What that does is that those couple additional bottles will pay for the food for the next guests that come in. So it's just kind of this cool approach, and it's working so far, and we love doing it.
It's clearly working because people are absolutely nuts about it. So, I mean, I think that's so great. I mean, I always think, I'm really embarrassed to say this. I was a little hungry and I wanted to pour a glass of wine. So I went into our fridge and grabbed some cheese, and I didn't have a knife. So I was literally eating this amazing cheese, like with a plastic spoon out of it. But like, that's the thing. It's like, I need to have food with my wine. You definitely have a different consumer that goes to just try and taste as many wines as possible. But I do believe that people are really getting back into this, like wanting to sit and relax at a winery and really kind of like encompass everything that they have to offer. And doing this, like, that's just like above and beyond. Now I understand all of these Google reviews. They're just insane, which, by the way, Emily is the tasting room manager, right?
Correct.
Oh my gosh. Emily is basically famous on the Google webs now, because it's like, everybody's like, Emily greeted me with a glass of bubbles. And, like, she's just, we probably should have had her on as one of the people here, because it seems like she's pretty famous over there.
She's awesome. And she's been with us for a long time, and she knows how to provide this hospitality, this experience. So yeah, she's definitely quoted a lot.
So when you guys are putting together these pairings, do you kind of leave it up to the chef, or do you guys all get together and do some tastings and see what what everybody likes?
So in the Walla Walla Valley, we're real fortunate with the bounty we have from our local farms. So it's really driven by the season. So we're just kind of winding up the asparagus, a few delights with that. But our main dish is my grandmother Eleanor's meatball recipe. And so that's a little heavy. So we do that with the reds. And then Chef Ian Williams usually picks a real nice light salad. This week we're going to start with some seafood. We're going to do some prawns to pair with our white wine. And so it's really it's mostly his inspiration, because he's super talented, but he'll run it through us and say, this is what I'm thinking to pair with this wine. And, if he cooks it for us, we try it. It's kind of hard to not enjoy it.
Right. And where did he come from?
He's Walla Walla native, and he's been a chef at the bread company and also at Saffron in Walla Walla there. And so we're just real proud to have him, lucky to have him. It's a real good fit. He's an excellent chef and understands the whole food and wine pairing really well too.
It's great to see. Going back to the food thing I really do believe, like, even just having food trucks out at these wineries, where like 2 years ago, you would go wine tasting and then you would go into town to get food. And now it's, you don't have to come all the way back. It's so wonderful. Yeah. Now let's talk about, because you have this big, beautiful estate out there. You guys are producing 1,500 cases of wine. Okay. For people out there, that is a very small production of wine. I mean, average, I would say probably in Washington is anywhere between like 3,500 and 5,000 cases. So you are 100% estate driven winery.
That's correct.
And you have 3 vineyards.
Yep.
And are they all around the general area of where your tasting room is, or are they outside of there?
So our first vineyard was planted in 05. That's the vineyard next to the tasting room in our facility there. It's next to Pepper Bridge on the south side, the Pepper Bridge vineyard. And then our other 2 vineyards are up by Seven Hills in the Sylvain project. And so one is Octave, which is a partnership vineyard that I'm partners with. And then the other one is the Sanatella vineyard, which is our most recent. And so we're only at 1,500 cases now, but I've planted Sanatella over the last 5 years, and that'll get us up to about 3,500 cases. But we're just waiting for those vines to mature and that fruit to come in. But that's an exciting project and just a gorgeous vineyard up there.
And what AVA is that technically in?
It's the Walla AVA. It's just above the Rocks District. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Huge fans of the Rocks District, but you know, I'm partial. But okay, so how many different SKUs, or I'm for consumers, how many different wines are you typically pouring at once at the tasting room?
So I will tell you that for 6 vintages, I only made 1 wine, and that was our Eleanor, which is a cab-based red Bordeaux blend. And, you know, being a novice winemaker, I just wanted to really focus in and figure out how to do that well. And so if you drink our Eleanor, you'll see that that's our flagship wine. We also have 2 other red wines. Our red label is just a Cabernet Sauvignon, and then also our Sanatella, which is our premium wine. In addition to that, our wine club was screaming for whites and rosés. So we make a rosé of Cab Franc, and we make a white wine, which is Sauvignon Blanc and Semillon. So I guess that's about
pretty
5.
Traditional white blend for the Valley.
Yeah, so it's about 5 or 6 SKUs. And then, of course, we've got the Cuvée, which drives people nuts that they can't buy it. But we just say, hey, you can drink as much as you want within reason while you're here at our tasting room in our care. So
you guys are so generous. Oh, my gosh. I mean, I'm guessing so and again, these are some of the things that I've been asking some of the other wineries today, because, I mean, I'm hoping that this really gets everybody excited to visit Walla Walla. What kind of lead time are you looking at to get reservations? What would be a safe bet? How far in advance?
So we're open Wednesday through Sunday, and we're open from 11 to 5 with those 4 time slots that I spoke about.
Yep.
The weekends are pretty full, but Wednesdays and Thursdays we can get you in most likely. Friday, Saturday, Sunday are a little tighter. If you do join our wine club, you get priority access to the tasting room. And not to do a shameless plug, but we're about to go to wait list. We're probably 30 members away from having to go to wait list because of the limited production we do. So anyway, I would say if you're out a couple weeks, we'll get you in. We've got a great reservation system. You just get online and do it. And it has lots of email follow-up. So it's pretty slick.
Well, I've heard about even the email follow-ups with you guys. You're pretty detailed, which is so awesome. Yeah. So let me just throw out the food was impeccable. Our wine tasting was the best we had on this trip to Walla Walla. I have another one that was this is one of the best, if not the best winery in Walla Walla. Highest recommendation I can give. No wine tasting fee, and they have awesome small bites as well at no cost, which I'm just we used to do a program called the Passport to Sip, and it was well before anybody did these passports, and it was 150 wineries around the Northwest for $50. And people used to I would see on these Yelp, and TripAdvisor and things are is this a scam? Is this just too good to be true? And I just kind of feel that's the case with Caprio. So I am so looking forward to getting back there. Tell us a little bit about your wine club. I know there's only a few slots left, but what do you get as a wine club member with Caprio?
So we have the normal offering, which is we have 3 different tiers, and there's obviously a discount. And then we do winemaker dinners more often than others because we have a full food program.
Totally.
And so you get priority access to those, which sell out every time. We're doing a Bordeaux and barrel burn this month. which has been sold out and waitlisted for a while. We're teaming up with a local Bright's Candies, which is the 100-year-old chocolate place. They're going to do our s'mores and all the chocolate and marshmallows for that, because we're going to have that barrel on fire, which is going to be awesome.
That's
fantastic. And then we just have different on the release weekends and those types of events. We have wine club only days where the wine club is invited. So it's mostly access and availability to come and visit and send friends. If you join the club, we give you a couple free passes to send friends and get them in if we're crowded.
And it's how many times a year do you do shipments?
Twice a year. So once in the fall, once in the spring.
Sign me up. Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. There's just, you guys have built such a beautiful tasting room and experience. And honestly, I love the South End. I'm a little bit partial to this like South Side, South End, just because I have spent so much time out there. And it's absolutely beautiful. You're right next to so many other great wineries as well. I have to ask you, because you obviously have a love for wine and you were like zeroed in on Walla Walla. Were there a few producers that you kind of were that you just loved their style or their wines? Not that you're trying to emulate them, but maybe that you got some sort of inspiration from.
Yeah. So driving over to the Valley, I was doing it for my day job, which was construction, and I would go by Woodward Canyon and Lake Hole, and I'd just shake my head like, what are these people doing out here? There can't possibly be good wine in this valley. It's Eastern Washington, for Pete's sake. And then I went to visit my friends in Seattle, and there was a bottle of Lake Hole on the wine list, and I asked the somm, I said, is this stuff any good? He goes, this stuff will blow your mind. And I said, all right, prepare for mind blowing. He opened it up. It was a 90s Merlot, and it blew my mind. And so then I started stopping and got to know the guys at Woodward Canyon and Lake Hole, and those wines are just solid. I mean,
they're just icons. They're just icons. And I'm so glad you said that. In fact, we worked with Woodward Canyon today, and we had a conversation with Lake Hole, and I agree. Like their Merlot, I told them their 2018 Merlot for me was just like, it was like mind blowing. So I love and I've had your wines before, not a ton, so I can't speak too much on them, but I do know that they're very well balanced and have a really nice finesse. And again, very food friendly wines. So they're pretty fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so are you out at the winery often? Are people going to run into you?
Yeah, I'm out there the most I can be. I'm Emily has a great team with Chad and Brett, and so they take care of everything. I pop in, I clean glasses when I can, and clear tables and answer questions. And it's such a fun job to just, because people are in a great mood and they want to talk about the Valley and what we're doing. And it's just, I'm there as much as I can be, and love to interact with the guests. It's pretty awesome job.
Well, it sounds like Emily's kind of the superstar anyway. So who needs Murphy in the tasting room anyway?
Exactly. But I do have a pretty awesome dog, Roxy, who's an amazing bird dog, and she loves coming to the tasting room.
What kind of dog is that?
She's a German wire hair.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful dog. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Awesome. Well, Dennis, I so appreciate you coming on. I'm so excited to visit you guys soon. Don't have to really even say go visit them, because I mean, good luck. Try to get a reservation, because they just give you the world. But no, it was so fun to get to meet you kind of face to face a little bit. But I look forward to toasting with you very soon, next time that I'm in Walla Walla.
Absolutely. Come out. We'll take good care of you.
I'd love that. Awesome. Thank you so much, and have an awesome day, everybody. And this is the last of our interviews. So get out to Walla Walla. Follow Caprio Cellars. Follow everybody that we have been featuring today, because they're all amazing. So, all right. See you later.